Hello everyone and thanks for joining me for this new video. Today we will focus on accessibility and we will build a simple component. I'm sure everyone builds cards all the time, but we will focus today on how to build a card with screen readers in mind. So this is a simple design. I'm not trying to make the best design possible today. But anyway, I'm quite happy with what my cards look like. We have this hover effect with a nice contrast. And we have the usual elements we can find in a card. We have an image, a title, a text, description text, and a call to action. And I'm sure that many of you have already built tons of cards like this one. And even if I'm not an accessibility expert, and by the way, if you are an accessibility expert, please give me your comments under the video and let me know how I can improve even more this card design. But I want to share with you what is, in my opinion, the best way, with the best of my knowledge, to build an accessible card. I will be using Bricks to build this card today because I've been working all day with Bricks, making sure OxyProps is compatible with the new Bricks 1.7 beta version. But you will be able to do exactly the same thing we are doing in Bricks in Oxygen together with OxyProps. So let's jump in the editor. And I have a very basic structure. I will keep my card as a reference. And I just have a page container. Inside of that, I have a container with the 3 columns grid and a gap. So just if you want to know how I achieve this centered layout, my page container is a Bricks div with the o-hide full class and the o-super centered class. Then my grids container is a o-grid 3 with a o-gap 4. And then I have my card. So let's start building our card. And we will first add a new div. It's here in the center. And I will use my card2 utility class. And this class gives my card a background color and a drop shadow. Okay, so this will be our card container. And then inside our container, we have an image, a title, a text, and a call to action. Let's call it accessible card and add an image, a heading, a text, and another text. This one will be read more. This will be my awesome heading. And we will have a piece of text as a placeholder. For my image, I will use a placeholder image using OxyProps integration with PhotoPixum, and I will call a landscape image. And just as a reminder, if you are using the menu directly, this will generate each time a random image. If you want a specific one, you can add either an ID with a specific ID. This is the image ID 200. But you can also generate a seed with a random string of text that will generate a random image, but always the same. So that's nice. Let's keep this one. This will be a nice waterfall. Okay, let's add some gap. And for this to work, let's make my card a flex column. Here we are. For my call to actions, I usually like to add the French closing double quote. On my Mac with my French keyboard, I can achieve that by pressing Option Shift 7. And last thing, I will give my image a very slight radius. So I will use a radius 1, a very slight one, to match the card radius. Perfect. So we have the basic elements, but now we have to take accessibility into consideration. We want our card to be a good experience for people using screen readers. And we also want the whole card to be a clickable link to a full blog post, for example, about the topic. And this brings a few questions about our layout. The first thing we will discuss is the order of the elements in our layout. As designers, that's how we would set elements: the image first, on top of the card, then the title, then the text, and then the call to action. But for someone using a screen reader, this doesn't make sense, because when you arrive on this article, the first thing you would like to know is the title. What is it about? That's what a title heading is made for. There's a semantic meaning in a heading tag, and this is that this will give information about what the elements after in the group are all about. So our first challenge is to keep this visual design with the image first, but have our heading in first position for screen readers. So as we want our heading to be first for screen readers, we will reorder our elements. And in the DOM, in the page structure, we want the heading to come first. So the screen reader will start reading the title, then will come to the image, then to the text. And to achieve our layout, our design layout, we will use flex properties. So with our image selected, we will add a class, and we want our image to be first. So just type first, and you will be suggested this class, and you see as I hover it, my image comes first. Here it is. So this way, we have the structure of our page, the elements, in the proper order for screen reader users. And at the same time, we have the visual design we are expecting. So the next thing we want to do with our image is to take care of the alt text. You probably already know that it's important to have an alt text, because if you don't have one, when the screen readers comes to the image, it will only spell out the file name, for example, but we want our users to have a good idea of what's on the image. So for example, an alt text for this image could be a waterfall in a forest of pine trees. I think that's pine trees with fog at the back. Something very descriptive. Okay, so now we have the correct order for the elements. We have our image in the right place for the design. We have our alt text. And let's talk about links. So we have several things to discuss about links. The first thing is how to make the whole card clickable in a proper way. And the second one is how to handle our call to action, this read more text. And maybe let's discuss this read more text first. And now, if you are an accessibility expert, or if you are yourself using screen readers, I'll be very interested in your comments. But what I know about the topic is that a CTA, a call to action like this one, with a link that just spells read more, has very little interest for screen reader users. It doesn't tell anything about what the link is for and where it will take the user. So what I would suggest for accessibility purpose is to keep the call to action as a visual clue that the card is clickable for users not using screen readers for design purpose, but completely hide it for screen readers. So to achieve this, I will select my call to action. First, I will give it a color. So I'll go to typography, right click on my color and give it my links color. That's perfect. But now I want it to be invisible for screen readers. And for this, we will use ARIA attributes. So let's go to attributes, add an attribute, right click in the name field and choose an ARIA hidden with a value of true. And this attribute will hide this element from screen readers. So from now, it's only visible on the screen, but it will be ignored by screen readers. Another question is how to make the card clickable. Well, the first idea, and I've done this in the past, I'm not doing it anymore, but it would be to select the full card and to go to content and just change the HTML tag to a link. And this would work. I select the link type, it will be an external link. I place my URL. So let's do this and have a look at our front end. So when I refresh, I have my card. I can click anywhere on my card And it works, it's a link, it takes me to OxyProps website. But doing this is a terrible experience for screen reader users. And if you have never tried using a screen reader, I encourage you to do so. On my system, I have VoiceOver, and I use it from time to time to check how screen readers handle my website. And I won't activate VoiceOver right now to let you know for several reasons, one of them being that my VoiceOver speaks French. But I will ask you to believe me or experience it by yourself. But if the screen readers comes to this link as it is structured for now, and then let's have a look in the DevTools at this link. You see, we have a link, and inside the link, we have the whole card. Well, the screen reader will just speak a big string of text with every element inside the card, and only at the end tell the user that it is a link. And by the way, information about the image will be melded with all the rest, and the user will not know this is an image. So this is the easy way to have the whole card clickable. This is the easiest way to do it in our page builder, but this is not the one we want to choose. So let's get rid of this link and make things different. So still having accessibility in mind, while we are here, we want to change the HTML tag of our card. I inserted a div, so by default it's a div, but I want it to be an article. This way, my card now has a tag of article, and when reaching my cards, the screen reader will tell the user that each of my cards are an article. And now this is the way I would handle the link to have the whole card clickable. What I want to do is create a link as descriptive as possible for the screen reader user to know what the link is for and where it will take him or her. So the way I would handle that is to add a new div to my card. And this div will be a link. It will be an external link. It will take me somewhere, for example, to the OxyProps website. By the way, while we are on the link, this has nothing to do with accessibility. It's more about security. But most of the time, when you link to an external link, you want to define a no opener, no referrer, no follow relation attribute to your link. No follow is mostly for SEO reasons, but the no opener, no referrer is rarely for security reasons. Okay, so now we have a link. That's our div, and inside of it, I will add a text, and this text, I want it to be descriptive. This link will take you to the full article about the waterfall trail, whatever. And by doing so, my intent is that when the user using a screen reader comes to this link, the screen reader will read this text and the user will know exactly what will happen if they click or if they activate the link. Okay, so now we have a link, a descriptive link, but we said that we want the full card to be clickable. Okay, so for this, we need two things. First, I will select my card, the container div, and I will add two classes. The first one is a position relative, and the second one is isolate. If you know me, you certainly know why I'm doing this, is that with the relative class, I will define an absolutely positioned element inside of my card. And with the isolate class, I'm creating a new stacking content to manage Z indexes at my card level. Okay, I think most of you are familiar with position relative to have something absolutely positioned inside of it, but maybe less with this isolate concept. And this means that if I define positive or negative Z index, all of these Z indexes will be positive or negative inside the context of my card. Okay, so that's it for the containing card. So now let's take care of our link. Maybe I will rename it to my link so it's better for you. And my link will be absolutely positioned. Here it is. It will have, and that's another class, an inset. If you start typing, it will be suggestive. And that's an inset 0. And by setting this class, you certainly noticed that with Bricks highlight of the element, my link is covering the full surface of my card. So my link div is absolutely positioned inside of my card, which has a position relative. And this inset class tells the link to extend to all sides of the containing element. Okay, that's what this inset of 0 class does. So my link extends to top 0, bottom 0, left 0, right 0. And to make sure this is on top of everything else to be clickable, I will give it a layer of important, making sure it's on top of everything else. Let's save. So now, of course, you will tell me for a design perspective, from a design perspective, that's not what we want at all, this visible text in the middle of our card. So it's visible for screen readers, but we want it hidden for other users. So it's not yet available in the OxyProps framework because I'm preparing a set of accessibility focused utility classes. And you will soon be able to use O-SR only class for screen readers only. But for now, we can either create the class ourselves. So maybe let's create it. C dash. You know, I use C dash as a prefix for my custom utility class by opposition to the O dash utility classes that come from the frameworks. That's a way for me to differentiate what comes from the framework and what are custom classes. SR dash only. And the future framework class will be a bit more complex because it will take into consideration all possible cases. But for now, for our purpose, we only need it to have, for example, an opacity of 0. Okay, and actually, I don't want to apply it to the link. I want to apply it to the text inside of my link. So let's call it on the text element. Okay, and I don't want to apply it to the link itself because I want to define an hover effect on my link and to have this nice contrasted outline on my card. I will select my link and call the hover state so you can see it active on the reference card. So back to my link, what I will add is a box shadow. And I will simply define a spread of 3 pixels, for example, and a color that will be my brand color. So you can see that we now have the outline, and I want the outline to match the rounded corners of my card. So I will add a class of radius 2. Perfect. So let's have a look at the front end. Refresh. We have our card. We have the hover effect. The whole card is clickable. And I just noticed that I misspelled my URL. I'm missing a T in the HTTPS. And let's have a look at the structure. Maybe I can, yes, increase the text so it's easily visible for you. That's our card. And let's open the structure. So we have the anchor tag. And that will be interesting. You know certainly that in your dev tools, you have the accessibility 3 that's visible. So first, let's have a look at the structure and then we will check the accessibility tree. So we have our A tag. It's inside our article with the heading first, the image, our text, our call to action with the ARIA hidden attribute. And finally, we have our link. So maybe that's not exactly what I want. I would like the link to be accessible earlier for the screen readers. So maybe just below the heading. And if you are a screen reader user, please tell me in the comments, what's the most convenient for you? Would you like the link first, last, just after the heading, as I think would be the best? Please let me know by adding a comment under the video. Thank you. So for now, I will just modify my structure to have the link sooner in our card elements list. And let's have a look at the accessibility tree. And this is how a screen reader will see our card. We have an article with a heading and a text, then an image described as our alt text, then a text, which is the description text on our card, then the link with the text explaining what the link is about, and then nothing because our call to action is hidden for screen readers. So if you are interested in accessibility topics and making your sites more accessible, really use the accessibility tree in your dev tools. It's really interesting to see the structure that will be visible for a screen reader. Let's get back to our editor and then take my link, move it higher in the structure, just below my heading, and I will also fix this URL, HTTPS, save, and that's it. Our element is finished, and we now have a card structure that is much more screen reader users friendly. So tell me in the comment what you think. Is accessibility a priority topic for you? Do you have best practice you would like to share about accessibility, or other questions you would like answered in other videos? And by the way, if you liked the video, press the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. This will be a good way for you to be notified for other videos like this one. And I wish you very good site builds, and I'll see you in the next video.